It's that time of year again, or at least that's what all the retailers are telling me. And this year, while some of you are still feeling chained to your sewing machines, finishing up holiday gifts in the mad dash, I want to flip the script for just a minute and talk about what you, the quilter, might consider for your own wish list. Plus, there's a secret at the end, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Amy, and I make things. And in today's video, I'm making a rather unconventional quilter's wish list. Hang around, let's see what happens. As quilters, and just as human beings, we not only like to make and give beautiful, thoughtful gifts, but we also love to receive beautiful, thoughtful gifts. Today, I want to think beyond the traditional make a list of things to buy wish list. There's a little of that, but I also want to dig a little deeper and think about some ideas, some concepts, some unconventional things that will truly enhance our quilting life, not only in the moment, but in years to come. These are ideas that are scalable and flexible. They'll fit many budgets and many seasons of life, and I hope they will serve you well. The first unconventional idea is gifts of space. Do you have your own quilting space? Your own little piece of special area that's carved out just for your sewing and quilting? It doesn't have to be a whole sewing room or a studio space or anything fancy. It can be as simple as a small cart that you wheel around your dining room and store your sewing machine on top of, or part of a linen or a coat closet that you've carved out just to store your own sewing things and be your special dedicated space. We're all constrained by differing factors. Maybe you live in a small apartment or a retirement community, or you travel in an RV. Maybe you've got 4 tiny kids or teenagers that are running and going and off on the move. Whatever your circumstance, carving out a dedicated space for your quilting and sewing makes it and us feel special. If you don't have a dedicated space, be it an entire studio or a tiny closet, consider asking your family or creating it for yourself so that you can have a place that feels special. Now, if you do have a dedicated space, if you already have a dedicated space, is it as organized, tidy, or efficient as you want it to be? Not maybe as it could be, but as you need it to be. Does the space make you feel good when you think about it or when you're in there? If it doesn't, maybe you need a friend or a family member, your quilting bestie, or just your trusty timer, to help you make that space more organized and more efficient and just happier to be in. Maybe a trip to the store or cruising Facebook Marketplace for new storage containers or that piece of furniture that will make your space more workable and more enjoyable. Maybe it's as simple as covering that upcycled cardboard box that's storing your fabrics with a beautiful piece of paper or a colorful coat of spray paint. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be expensive. But what I want you to consider is making your space cheerful and happy to dwell in. My second unconventional gift idea is the gift of time. Most of us want more dedicated time to quilt, but the demands of everyday life pile up and pile on and take over. Gifts of time are the perfect solution. Now, clearly no one can wrap up hours in a day and hand them over to you. But can they? Gifts of time can include things such as childcare services. Now, it's been a long time since I've had littles, but I know how valuable it would have been for me to have a sitter for a few hours so I could go to the guild meeting or take a workshop or just have some time to sew in peace and quiet. Relative peace and quiet. If hiring a sitter is unavailable to you, you probably have a friend that you can trade childcare services with. You take their kids for an evening while they do something that they love, and they take your kids for an evening or a morning while you work on that quilting project. We often think of childcare or babysitting services when we need it, when we need to go to a job outside the home, when we have a meeting or an engagement in the evening. But how nice would it be to be gifted childcare services to do something that we just love? Another gift of time could be a meal prep or meal kit delivery service. There are a bunch of them out there. HelloFresh and Home Chef, there are a bunch of them out there. I think even the grocery stores have them now. And that can save you time, keeping you out of the grocery store and having to make decisions about what's for dinner. If that doesn't work for you, my favorite iteration of this in this arena is the Instant Pot and the slow cooker. A little planning and 15 minutes of prep, dinner's doing its thing while I get to sew. Plus, the house smells amazing all day. Maybe the gift of time is a thing you can purchase. You've seen my video where I've talked about the Stripology ruler and my AccuQuilt cutting system. I'll link it in the cards up above. These are investment tools that can make your cutting speedier. They can make your cutting more efficient, and they might be worth the investment depending on your goals and your budget. Category 3, gifts of service. This category are all those things that you know you need and you know you should have done, but you don't want to spend that money on yourself. You'd rather spend it on something fun or something else entirely. Gifts of service for me include things like scissor sharpening service. You will not realize how dull your scissors are until you have them sharpened. It's an amazing delight to work with a freshly sharpened pair of scissors, and they will last longer, they will serve you better, you will be more effective in your quilting and your cutting. If you can't find a knife sharpening service near you, that's what they'll be listed under, knife sharpening services. If you can't find one near you, there are many scissor and knife sharpening kits and tools that are available online or in retailers, and you can learn to do it for yourself. Plus, you can get all your kitchen knives nice and sharp. The next gift of service, sewing machine servicing, sewing machine maintenance. When was the last time you had your sewing machine professionally cleaned? You don't really have to tell me. It's been a while for me too. I can take my machine in for service anytime. All the local quilt shops and sewing machine stores around me will service my machine. Leave it with them for a few weeks, comes back clean and sparkly and running like a dream. But left to my own devices, I'm not going to do that. If I'm going into the sewing machine shop or the quilt shop, I don't want to spend money getting my machine serviced. I want to buy the fun things. But if someone were to do it for me, if they were to take my machine and have it serviced for me or give me a gift certificate dedicated toward sewing machine service, that's a different story entirely. It's a real treat. And my machine, I know in the long run that my machine will run longer and run better if I have it serviced relatively regularly. Now, the third gift of service is a bit of a big ticket item. It's long arm services. Have you got, I know you do, a lot of you have told me, that quilt top in your closet, in your stash, that's special, and you're afraid you're going to ruin it, which is a video for another day. But you're afraid you're going to ruin it if you quilt it yourself. I get that. I understand that. I've had those quilts as well. Or perhaps it's gigantic and you don't want to quilt it on your domestic machine. You don't want to wrestle it under the needle. I understand that as well. So long arm services, a gift certificate to your favorite long armor, your local long armor, or online can be just the ticket. That can be the perfect gift of service to turn that quilting dream into reality. If you're good friends with a long armor, maybe you can trade services. Talk to your friends. See what you can work out. There are a lot of you out there who don't like to bind your quilts. But there are also people out there who just love to hand bind quilts. And they'll do it for money. So if you've got a quilt that you want hand bound, and for whatever reason you don't have the time, you don't have the patience, maybe you don't have the manual dexterity to do it by hand anymore, find someone who offers binding services and have them bind it for you. Have someone gift you binding services so that you can get that quilt into use, finished, and loved on like quilts should be. My last category is my favorite, and that is gifts of experience. And this category is as broad as your imagination, both in scope and ideas and in budget. Gifts of experience can be classes or workshops in person or online, can be joining an online retreat or an in-person retreat. Gifts of experience include visiting quilt shows, your local guild show, the county fair, the state fair, one of the national shows like Paducah or Houston Quilt Fest or QuiltCon. On my bucket list is the Quilt Museum in Lincoln. Oh, I cannot wait for that one. If your budget and schedule allow, those quilt cruises or the craft tours with the quilting celebrities look absolutely life-changing. They look like so much fun. But my all-time favorite, I'm gonna lean in, guys. My all-time favorite is the least expensive and the most accessible. And it's what I call the inspirational drive. When you hop in the car with your quilt bestie or your kids or your sweetheart and you grab your camera or your phone and you just drive. You drive around the town where you live or the area around where you live or wherever you happen to be, and you look at things with new eyes. You look at the places around you. You look at the colors and the shapes of the buildings and signs and graffiti and landscape. You look at what the people are doing. You take time to stop the busy hustle bustle of get from point A to point B, and you really observe and photograph what is around you. You can grab a meal or a coffee or take a picnic with you and make an afternoon of it, a morning of it. Try different times of day for different lighting and different traffic patterns in the area. It's really a great day, and I always come home inspired from the photographs I've taken, from the places we've explored, and maybe little roads we've always wondered where they went, and so today we drove down it. And mostly from the conversations that I've had along the way with my friend or my sweetheart or my kiddos. And of course, the big secret, none of these gifts are bound to the holidays, and they're equally enjoyable to receive as they are to give, even if you're giving it to yourself. These are ideas that can really enhance our quilting lives and our quilting perspective. Let me know in the comments any unconventional gifts that you've received that have made your quilting life just a little bit sweeter. I can't wait to hear. I always look for new ideas, and I love chatting with you guys in the comments. I'll leave links in the box below to anything relevant or any places or resources that I've mentioned. As you finish making your gifts this year in your mad dash toward the holidays, and you contemplate your own quilter's wish list, I hope that you will consider the unconventional gifts of space, time, service, and experience, in addition to, or maybe instead of, a more traditional list. Thanks for watching. Please click all the little buttons down below. Like, subscribe, share. Guys, it really helps me a lot, and it's free. And guys, especially during this busy season that's only going to get busier as the days go by, don't forget that you make the world more beautiful just by being in it. I'm Amy, and I'll see you next time.